Previously on DrakeParagon.
And so when the kids would wake up, they were in Block Island. You don't have to leave New England and just cruise and have just a lifetime of sailing. Maybe we'll go around the world again. You know, you're only as good as your crew.
I primarily work as a sailor, small open boat sailing expeditions.
My strength as a sailor and background is what happens when you're near the land.
Around the World Sailing Expedition USA 1554 Avalanche.
So I've come to the museum here in Qaqortoq, and there's an earthen house outside of the museum. I actually didn't notice this when I first came here because it's so well hidden. It just looks like, from the other side, definitely like a little hill, but there's a window that has grass and flowers and dandelions growing on it. Then it has this door over here. I'm standing at the doorway for it, and as you can see, I'm 5'5". The doorway only comes to about my shoulders. So we walk through. You have this initial entrance where the sides are stone, grass, stone and earth floor. As you can see, come in, it's very low ceilings, quite dark. I'm having to bend down. A couple of spider webs. We'll just ignore that and stand over here. Looks like maybe in the side there is what might have been a fire, although I don't see any ventilation. So in the corner, perhaps they cooked. This inner entrance is actually kind of cool. I bet it made a great place to store things, but also you walk in there, you make a 90-degree turn, and there's another wooden door into the living space. That makes it really nice because whoever opens the door, the wind or snow rushes in, it hits the back of that entrance instead of coming directly into the living quarters. So I imagine it's a great heat saver. It's a little bit taller in here. If you were taller than me, you probably wouldn't be able to stand upright in here. It's low ceilings. It looks like there is like a straw, dried grass, I imagine more dirt, stone, more dirt, and then the grass is on top, which makes a great insulation. The window is over here, the one window in the entire area. I imagine it was quite a different view before, but the wall here, the wall is basically an arm length. It reminds me of the old adobe homes in the western US. Very thick, good insulation. Imagine the window was one place where a lot of cold could come in. This is about the light that you would get on the inside here during the day. Of course, in the winter it'd be much less. It's enough to read by if you're over by the window. If you get into the corners, it gets a little bit dark. Now, there's a space here, a wooden rack hanging from the ceiling. There are boots upside down. I imagine they put their boots there to dry. I apologize about the darkness. There's no lighting except from the one window. There's a place up here to put your gun. Another rack over here. I guess they did use these to dry clothes. Perhaps they used it to dry meat as well. Benches and little storage boxes down here. Into a box. There's a bladder here. It looks like it's made from leather, actually, although I've seen bladders made from intestine and things like that, probably to keep water or other types of drink in. I have a wooden shelf over here. Teacup, alarm clock. There are actually some books here as well. Have a bed. Looks like It's filled with some sort of down or perhaps muskox. Instead of a mattress, it's wood, and then it's overlaid with seal skin, which I'm sure is actually quite warm. And there's another bed over here as well. Underneath looks like maybe some cooking supplies, some stone, chamber pot, and that stone must be pretty cold. There's a sealskin bag with more sealskin and I believe seal leather as a strap. Looks like there's some sort of a mortar and a pestle. This is actually made from stone. Perhaps they use that as a baking dish. And then another shelf over here with what I would assume would be extremely precious porcelain bowls and cups. If one of those were to break, I can't imagine that it would be very easy to replace it. On the wall here, there's a leather pouch. I've heard that the leather, especially seal, I think, that you can weave it into rope and other things, and it won't freeze stiff in the cold weather, so you can continue to use it, because rope made from other natural fibers, it just gets so cold up here that it freezes stiff. This is an amazing little place. A lot of work went into it. Very dark though, a little stir crazy, but hey, if you can live in a boat, you can live in this, right? Maybe. Again, this is the entrance room. Looks like there's a wash basin here. And as you can see, very thick walls to get outside. Oh! Well, there's a little bit of light. Let's see how that looks. Although it feels more realistic without the light. Let's try this again. They probably had some candles and other things like that. I read somewhere that whale blubber kept the lanterns of Europe burning. It was like the oil industry, so it would be a shame if they weren't able to use that here. I imagine they had whale blubber to put inside of their oil lamps. On the top here, there are some spoons. 2 of them are made out of wood. Extremely soft. But this one, it actually looks like that is a crab. I thought it was like an oyster shell or something, but from the other side it almost looks like crab. Maybe it's some sort of a bone. Kind of the cool thing about not being in, I guess like an American or Canadian museum where it would be cordoned off and you'd have to peek in from the door. I've just been left out here and can touch and kind of poke around and look at everything, which is really cool. So we have some knives. I imagine these were fairly guarded as well. A blade there. Oh my goodness. Wow. It's like a scraper, maybe for seal or for taking fat off of seal or whale. And then the top is that beautiful sculpture. It looks like it feels like it's made out of the wood. I thought it was bone, but I don't think it is. And then it has a leather on top. I also have questions about what this is. Ew. I wonder if this is actually like whale blubber. It's very sticky. It kind of comes up and black, and it looks like it's been burned. I don't know. Some beautiful artwork along in here. And over here, it looks like there's some sort of a grinder. I don't know if that was a grinder for some sort of, I Honestly, I don't know. I would say corn or coffee, but neither of those would be here in abundance. There's a spear on top of the window as well. Oh my goodness. It looks like it's made out of wood and then held together by leather. And it's about as tall as I am. Let me put that back up. Pardon me. Have a candlestick with what looks like, is that Celtic? It's quite beautiful. There's a lot of intricate workings, especially on here, which is kind of neat. So this is it, one little room. Probably stretches 4 meters across, 3 meters wide, not quite 2 meters high. And I don't know if this was the type of house that the people typically lived in, but it really does make more sense than a lot of these wooden houses that I've seen from the outside. Wood just isn't a great insulator against such biting cold, but the earth, I imagine you could spend an entire winter in here as long as, you know, you were able to get in and out and be very well insulated, especially once the snow came. You could pile the snow up even more against sections, maybe create a little snow tunnel to get into the initial door, and you'd be fairly toasty in here. I could imagine, especially during the winter. I don't know how they would vent this out. I could imagine it getting pretty dark, dank, smelly. It would be a hard life. But it's really cool to see this. Again, it's much brighter in here than it would be on any typical day because of the lighting. Let me turn off the electricity again. So this is a better estimation of what it would be like. I imagine it would be kind of nice to position it so that your one window was at least facing the sun for like some morning sun, I guess. Warm it up. It's a little chilly outside today, and on the inside here, it's actually quite damp. I've got my vest on and I'm comfortable, but it's a little cool in here. For winter, I think you would need some sort of a fire, but once it heated up, hopefully it would keep you nice and warm. Gonna go out. I imagine it must be nice though to come out of this very low building and into come out into the sunshine. It's a really cool little place. I would not mind living in something like that with some modern day conveniences, I have to say. It's a really great idea. It's so cool to think that this little house here, it's really alive. I mean, there's grass and flowers and dandelions and oh, actually those lights that we had on inside, it looks like there's a solar panel. That maybe that's the way those lights are working, which is really cool. So the one thing that is in abundance here is earth and rock. And that's basically what this is. It is an earth and rock house. Definitely have things framed on the inside and the doorway with wood. But it's really cool. I'm glad I got a chance to see it. Next on DrakeParagon.